All right, welcome in, folks. It is just hit 9 o'clock on the East Coast. This is Sports Talk Live with Nick Burt. It is Friday, May 26th, 2023. Not much going on tonight. The series that would have been tonight are over. We will get into those in a few. But it is one of my favorite weekends on the sports calendar. There's just absolutely so much going on. This year with scheduling still, some events got pushed back to this weekend, crowding it up even more. Like right now, I think the only sports on right now are college softball, which is the super regionals, and CFL preseason. CFL preseason, CFL football will be talked about a lot here coming up in these coming months. I mean, the summer does get kind of lonely, and CFL football will be a huge topic of discussion. Like I said, college softball is on right now. I'm currently in front of me is the Northwestern Alabama game. But let's get into this because this show is packed tonight. There's so much going on, so much I want to talk about that we should just get right into this. The Celtics, they stayed alive last night. With a 110-97 victory over the Miami Heat in Boston. Series is going back to Miami tomorrow night. And things are getting very, very interesting in Boston with the Celtics. As I've said previously, no NBA team has ever come back from a 3-0 deficit. And we're starting to creep into that territory where it's very possible it's going to happen. The Celtics... last night, they really thrived on the 3-ball, really thrived on forcing the Heat into turnovers, and they made the shots they needed to. Jimmy Butler's been kind of cold the last two games, which I think can very much be told in the result with the Heat not winning. Like I've said previously, Jimmy Butler's the reason why these Heat teams are winning right now. And without them, they would 100% not be in this position. They may have not gotten even out of the play-in. That's a rough estimate probably, but this is getting very interesting. I said on Wednesday, if the Heat lose Game 5, which they did, Game 6 is a must-win. Because if the Celtics win Game 6, the Celtics are winning Game 7. There's no two ways about it. So tomorrow night is a Game 7 for the Miami Heat. I 100% believe that. The Miami Heat need to win tomorrow night in Miami, or else they are losing Game 7 and will be the first team to blow a 3-0 lead in a series. And that's just something you don't want in your history. Like, I highly doubt Virginia wants to be the first 1 seed to lose to a 16 seed. It's gotten really into that tricky position for Miami because you kind of want to keep playing like they have been, but you need Jimmy Butler to do what he's been doing. And he hasn't done that the last two games. I think we've seen that. I think he was held under 20 last night. I don't remember the exact number, but I believe he was under 20. And it's just the Heat. Jimmy Butler, I won't keep putting this on the Heat because I feel like I've said, Jimmy Butler wins this team games. Jimmy Butler just needs to go off tomorrow night, and the Heat will be on to the NBA Finals. They'll be playing the Nuggets. We'll get to preview that series. But that, like I've said, this is Game 7 tomorrow night for the Heat. If the Heat lose, it's over for them. So we'll see what happens. The Celtics have been playing lights out the past two games also. It seems like almost every shot they take goes in. It's obviously not that way, but I think they're shooting at or right above 50% from the field, which is just absolutely outstanding. And we'll see. I still think the Heat win this series. I think that they can do it tomorrow night. Home crowd advantage does mean a lot, I think, in the NBA. So I do believe the Heat get it done tomorrow, but if they don't, 100% the Celtics are winning Game 7. I don't think you can go up 3-0, bring the series to 3-3, and then win 4-3. I don't see that happening. That's why I think the Celtics win in 7 if they get to a 7th game. Obviously nothing on the other side of the bracket, I guess, because as we talked about on Wednesday, the Nuggets swept the Lakers. The LeBron talk has kind of died down. It's clearly obvious he's coming back. It should have never been a question, but LeBron's got to make it about himself. So that's about it in the NBA. It's kind of been quiet on the coaching search side. Doc Rivers kind of seems to be the front runner for the Suns job. It kind of seems like Nick Nurse may be front runner in Milwaukee. The Raptors I don't think they have a direction right now. There's fighting between the GM and the owner of the Pistons on who the next coach is going to be. And the other jobs that are open, there's really no big name out there that they're saying, oh, they're a leader in the clubhouse, basically. So it's still all things to keep an eye on in the NBA. But let's head to the ice. Another series that ended in a sweep last night. Or no, this would be 2 nights ago now. It was on Wednesday night. The Florida Panthers advanced to the Stanley Cup Final. They sweep the Hurricanes. This is the second appearance in the Stanley Cup Final for the Florida Panthers. The last time was in 1996 when they faced the Colorado Avalanche, and they got swept in that series. So Florida will be going for their first ever Stanley Cup Final win in next week, hopefully. I believe no matter what, it does start next week. But just an absolute great performance from the Florida Panthers this series. Actually, the whole playoffs. They've played it their way the whole playoffs. That toughness, taking shot. They don't take unnecessary shots. If you always look at the shot charts for any of the games, it would always be almost double what their opposing team would be shooting. But the Panthers make their shots count. Matthew Tkachuk, absolutely, I won't say he's carrying the team like Jimmy Butler's been carrying the Heat, but he been a huge factor in why the Panthers they're going to the Stanley Cup Final. I mean, he scored, he did score the 4 overtime goal, I believe. He scored the overtime goal in Game 2. He scored the game-winning goal in Game 4 with 4.5 seconds left in the game, which was absolutely wild. That whole game was wild. You kind of felt like they were going to get it done no matter what, and then the Hurricanes crept right back into it, and then it went the Panthers' way again, and then the Hurricanes just came back, and then the goal with 4.5 seconds left, absolutely crazy. Ron Brindamore in the post-game press conference kind of saying, we didn't really lose the 4 games. It got weird, but it is what it is. The Panthers are on to the Stanley Cup Final. The two-headed monster is what's carrying this team. One of them was already mentioned, Matthew Tkachuk, and the other is Sergei Bobrovsky, which is absolutely wild to say since he didn't even start the first game of the playoffs. He didn't start the first 4 games. They were down 3-1, I believe, and with I don't remember. I keep thinking Wool, but that was the Leafs goalie. But he came in Game 5, and it's been him ever since. This is like a 2006 Cam Ward situation a little bit with the Hurricanes. Obviously, Cam Ward was the young goalie at that time and not being paid $10 million a year like Sergei Bobrovsky is. But Bobrovsky's also carried this team. Like I mentioned, the shot differential, he has been taking punishment after punishment each game with 30-plus shots a game. And he lets in 1 or 2. I mean, this guy has been absolutely crazy this playoffs. If it wasn't for the very much emergence of Tkachuk in this Eastern Conference Final, Bobrovsky would have been a runaway Conn Smythe winner. if they win the cup. It's very close right now who's going to win that if the Panthers win the cup. It's between those two. And as of now, I think it's going to lean more towards Tkachuk. It's obviously going to matter, A, who they play in the cup final, and B, how both of those players play in the cup final. But it's just been an absolutely awesome run to watch. You can just tell, like, I don't even know. It was like 5-6 years ago, and the Panthers they weren't one of the worst teams in the league, but because they were in Florida and they weren't drawing well, it's always, oh, this team shouldn't be here. You know, they need to move to Quebec or Kansas City or anywhere that didn't have a team because, you know, South Florida didn't need a team. This team plays in Sunrise, Florida. Their parking lot is a shopping mall, basically. And the crowds in Florida have been outstanding these playoffs. The first two rounds, I would say it was 75% Panthers fans, but because it was the Bruins and the Leafs, you know, they're bringing their own crowds with them because they're the Bruins and the Leafs. But in this Eastern Conference final, the Florida Panther fans really got behind this team. And obviously they only had 2 games at home because it was a sweep. But there is a huge fan base, I think, in South Florida for this team. And with this cup run, it's going to create even more fans. And this is why Bettman keeps saying this is why hockey needs to work in Arizona. Hockey doesn't work in Arizona because the team is absolutely terribly run. It's not because people don't like the sport. People like winners, and the Coyotes aren't that. But this Panthers run is everything that's good with hockey, I believe. You know, Matthew Tkachuk is kind of like the face hockey kind of needs. Like, you need that kind of cocky player. He knows how to toe that line, and when it's too much, it's too much, and when it's too little, it's too little. He knows what he needs to do in that area, basically. And I hope that he becomes this huge, big name superstar after this series. I mean, I believe he's in Florida for this long term. He obviously got traded from Calgary, which, looking back at that trade, if you go back in the Twitter, the tweets that announced the trade, you know, everybody was saying, oh, you know, Calgary fleeced them and Calgary 100% won this trade. No, they did not. Florida has won this trade. The people that made that trade in Calgary are out of a job. Calgary obviously didn't make the playoffs this year. The Panthers wouldn't be here in this situation without Matthew Tkachuk. And I think it's everything that's right with hockey right now. I think with this Florida Panthers team, it's going to be awesome to watch them in the Cup final. With the other 2 teams on the other side, I'll probably be pulling for the Panthers. So it should be a good run, hopefully, for them. And hopefully we get a good series in the Cup final. Like I said, on the other side of the bracket, series is not over because the Dallas Stars avoided the sweep last night. They won 3-2 in overtime. Joe Pavelski scored with 3:18 into the first overtime to keep the Stars alive. Stars obviously playing without Jamie Benn, was suspended 2 games for that absolutely boneheaded play at the beginning of Game 3 that basically ended Game 3 before it even started. He will still be out for Game 5 as they head back to Vegas tomorrow night. And this isn't going to be like the Celtics series. I think the Golden Knights get it done tomorrow night. This was more of the Stars lucked into a win, kind of. Puck luck is a big thing once you get to overtime hockey. And that was kind of what it felt like with that goal for Pavelski. The Golden Knights have been the better team in all 4 games. I don't think there's really any question of that. And that's why I think they win Game 5. I'm not going to say it's not going to be close, but I think you'll get an idea pretty quickly of where it's going basically with that game, because Vegas is very much this series. They, within like those first 5 minutes, they have gotten a goal, I think, in every game, I believe. And Vegas is the better team. They've looked the better team, and I think it will be shown that they're the better team tomorrow night. And there are some implications if the Golden Knights win tomorrow. If the Golden Knights win tomorrow, the Cup final will start, I believe, Tuesday, the 31st. And if not, I think it starts Thursday or Friday. So, I mean, if we want these teams somewhat still hot, we got to hope the Golden Knights win tomorrow. Because if the Golden Knights don't win, the Cup final gets pushed back, and the Panthers will be sitting for a week. And I think that really sets them up for getting swept, probably, or losing in 5. I always feel like the teams that are on hot streaks and then have to sit for a week waiting for the final to start, it never works out for them. So hopefully the Golden Knights get it done tomorrow. Always like more hockey. Let's get it done quicker. Let's get the Cup final started. Best 7-game series, hopefully. And yeah, so hockey, it's getting interesting. So, like I said, I hope the Golden Knights win tomorrow. I want the Cup finals start Tuesday, because then I believe the NBA finals would start Thursday. It's a nice gap of time, kind of. But like I said, this weekend it's a huge weekend. There's so much going on. One of the big things for me, Sunday is always the Triple Crown in motorsports, even though one of them isn't technically considered a Triple Crown when you actually look at the Triple Crown of motorsports, which is the Monaco Grand Prix, the Indianapolis 500, and the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Le Mans is not this weekend, but we will start out with the Monaco Grand Prix. That is on Sunday morning, 9 o'clock. It is on ABC, I believe. I believe it's the first time it's being shown live on like actual network TV. So that's kind of big for F1. The only thing that does suck with this race, it's always the worst race of the year. The real race is tomorrow, which is qualifying, which is at 10 a.m. Because basically where you qualify is where you're going to finish. There's very little passing on the streets of Monaco. And qualifying is going to be really interesting tomorrow. As I have in the graphic, Max Verstappen is the favorite to win the race at plus 120. Absolutely dominant car so far this season. The two Red Bull cars, clearly the best cars in the field. I don't think there's any denying that. But tomorrow, like I said, very interesting because his teammate, Sergio Perez, has been the best driver on street courses the past year and a half, basically. He won Monaco last year. Then he won Singapore. He won Jeddah this year. And he won Azerbaijan. This is definitely going to be an interesting test because like I said, these cars, these two, compared to the rest of the field, they're obviously going to be starting 1-2. So that run down to the first turn is going to be interesting. But I think the smart money here is on Perez because I believe he's like plus 300 or 400, somewhere around there. I think that's where the smart money's at, just because I think he's the better driver on a course like this. And like I said, he's going to be starting first or second. And I think either of those positions, he is a force to be reckoned with to win this race. Now, I'm not saying that I don't think Verstappen has a chance to win this race. He has a very good shot of winning this race, especially if he starts in first. But if there is a car that's going to split those two in qualifying, it may be the green Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso. going for his 33rd win of his career, a career that spans back to 2001. This kind of does feel like the best chance of him winning a race if he starts on that front row because of how much or how little passing there is on this course. This does feel like the best chance so far for him this season just because of how good the Red Bulls have been. I'm still not, I wouldn't take him, but I'm just saying if there is a car that is not a Red Bull that has a chance to win this race, I believe it is Fernando Alonso. So that is the Monaco Grand Prix preview. Obviously, like I said, the actual race is Sunday, but the deciding result basically is tomorrow, 10 a.m. as they qualify. The second leg of the Triple Crown Sunday, as I will call it, because it kind of is. For a one day, it is the Triple Crown. The Indianapolis 500, the biggest event in motorsports in the U.S. I think we can easily say that. I believe it might be the longest running in the U.S. I'm not 100% sure about that, but they are on their 108th, I believe, 108th running of the Indianapolis 500. This is going to be a very, very interesting race to watch. Alex Palou is the pole sitter. He's the betting favorite at plus 500, but I don't think he's going to win this race. Drives for Chip Ganassi. Like I said, he's on the pole, but he was only on the pole by like 0.1 of a second or something like that. This is the fastest field they've ever had for the Indy 500. The average speed in qualifying was 232 point some decimals miles per hour. This is going to be a very interesting race. So unlike like NASCAR and F1 where they're like trying to limit speed, basically IndyCar says build a rocket ship. And that's what some of these teams have done, especially the Arrow McLaren team. They got 4 cars in this race. They're all starting within the top 10, I believe. And I believe one of the winners is going to come out of that team. I just don't know which one. If I had to pick one right now, I probably would go Felix Rosenqvist, the number 6 car. I believe he's starting in second. That car has looked fast all May. I think that car is the best shot of them winning this. In this race, it always comes down to strategy. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out because it's always who's going to make that crucial call on the last pit stop, basically. Because these cars can run together mostly, but it is all going to depend on, I'd say, the final 100 miles, basically, because you can probably get your final pit stop in there. That's going to be the big key. It always is going to be who can make that move and basically either undercut or overcut the person that's in front of them. And we'll see. This is going to be, I think, the best race of the Triple Crown. Hopefully it lives up to the hype. I mean, like I said, they've been talking about this, that it's going to be the fastest 500 that has ever been on record. Really excited to see it. And so, yeah, the Indy 500, always entertaining to watch. They're expecting over 325,000 people in attendance, which is just absolutely wild if you think about it. But, I mean, with it being within a 2-mile oval, it's also not surprising. So the last leg of the Triple Crown is the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway for NASCAR. Usually, every once in a while, we get somebody that does the double, the Indy 500 and the Coke 600. So you're doing 1,100 miles in one day, plus you got to fly down. Nobody's doing that this year. It's going to be Kyle Larson doing it next year. He's the betting favorite for the Coca-Cola 600. He is at plus 550. and I would not be surprised if he wins this race at all. He has just been on an absolute tear recently. The whole Hendricks team has been almost all season. They look like they figured something out this year, and they are the team to beat. I think Kyle Larson is the best driver out of the four that currently drive for them, but I mean, qualifying hasn't been done yet, so we obviously don't know starting positions, but I think Kyle Larson wins this race. Like I said, the Hendrick team has figured something out, and they're basically running with it. If I had to pick somebody else that is not Kyle Larson to win this race, I go Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch. They always seem to run good here. They have run good on ovals this year. And this race is somewhat about strategy, not as much as it used to be with NASCAR now having stage racing, which basically takes all strategy out of it because you're guaranteed with this race at least 3 cautions because there are 3 stage breaks compared to the usual 2. Yeah, I would go with Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin as my other 2 options. I think they both have the best shots of winning this race. But like I said, I think Kyle Larson is the cream of the crop here. I believe I'm with Vegas here, picking him as the betting favorite. And it's going to be an interesting race, like I said. So Sunday, full day of motorsports, but that doesn't mean it's the only sport on Sunday. So it is time. Let's talk some soccer because there's a lot going on this weekend. We have 2 leagues finishing. We have a very important final, and there's a lot going on. So let's start with the title race, basically, in Germany. The Bundesliga, it ends tomorrow morning. 9:30 a.m. are kickoff times for all 9 games in the league. This is going to be an incredible finish to an incredible season. Borussia Dortmund currently are top of the table at 70 points. Bayern Munich right behind them with 68. Dortmund are at home tomorrow against Mainz. Bayern Munich on the road tomorrow against Cologne. This has been a moment Germany has somewhat been waiting for 10 years. Bayern Munich have won the league 10 years in a row. They've been waiting for somebody to dethrone them. Nobody really has come close except Dortmund this year, and they have the chance to pull it off. They need to win because I do think Munich will get it done on the road. It's going to be a little sketchy on the edges because it is on the road. If it was at the Allianz Arena in Munich, they'd win this game 2-3-0. But the fact it's on the road, that gives Cologne somewhat a home field advantage, but I still think Bayern get it done. Dortmund have to win this game. If they draw, they're putting it their fate in their hands. Basically, they'll only have themselves to blame when they lose the title because Bayern can win and Dortmund can draw. They will be tied on points, but Munich will win the league on a vastly larger goal difference. And that would just be a terrible way for this to end this year. Dortmund have to get it done at home. Mainz have, I believe, only won 2 in their last 10. So that's a positive. But the only 2 teams they've beaten in their last 10 are Bayern Munich and RB Leipzig, which are 2nd and 3rd in the table respectively right now. So they can easily pull out a performance that will somehow shock everybody and draw or win this game somehow. I still don't think they get it done, especially since they are going to the Signal Iduna Park in Dortmund. I think this is the year that the yellow and black win the title. They take the title off their rivals Bayern. It's going to be interesting to watch tomorrow morning. This is the only league in the top 5 in Europe that has had the title come down to the final day. The titles have been clinched in all the other leagues, I believe, except France, but PSG is close or already clinched. I don't remember, but they're going to win the title. Napoli already clinched it in Italy. Man City already clinched it in England. And Barcelona already clinched it in Spain. So this is the title fight that every league wants every year. They want something coming down to the final day, but very rarely any league gets it. Nothing's ever going to top 2012 when Man City and Man United went into the final day, 1 and 2 at the top of the table. Sergio Aguero scores the goal in the 95th minute to win Man City the title. We aren't going to get another moment like that, I don't think, ever again. In England, probably. There's a chance it might happen here tomorrow, but I wouldn't put my money on it. I think Dortmund win the game somewhat easily. I mean, no game is easy, but I think they win it like 2-0, and they know the title is theirs because they won and got the full 3 points. Like I said, the other league ending this weekend, Sunday, the Premier League is ending. We have the table in front of us. Mostly everything is figured out table-wise. All the Champions League positions have been clinched. All the Europa League spaces have been clinched. The only one that hasn't been clinched is the Europa Conference League. And relegation needs to be figured out. Relegation, we'll get into that in a second. With the Europa League and Europa Conference League. First of all, let's start with the Champions League. Man City, Arsenal, Newcastle, and Manchester United have all clinched their spots in the group stage for next year's competition. Liverpool and Brighton and Hove Albion have clinched their spots in the Europa League group stages for next season. This is the first time for Brighton and Hove Albion in a European competition. So big congrats to them. This is Newcastle's first time in the Champions League since 2002. It's been 20 years. So congrats to them. And the Europa Conference League coming down to the final day. The only 2 teams in contention for it are Aston Villa and Tottenham. Aston Villa are playing Brighton on Sunday morning. I believe that one is in Brighton. And Tottenham are going to Leeds, and it's going to get interesting. It's a weird position because as a Tottenham fan, I want European football next year, because I just feel like you always have a chance, especially if it's a competition like that. It's another opportunity to win a trophy. But then it's also another opportunity to lose to some random team in Moldova and just make us a mockery once again. Because that's just what's bound to happen, let's be honest. But also, I always like seeing new blood in these competitions. It's absolutely awesome to me that Brighton and Hove Albion are going to be in the Europa League next year. It'd be awesome to see Aston Villa in the Conference League next year. I mean, as much as I hate to say it, West Ham in the final this year, that's a cool story. They're still not going to win it, though. But it's a cool story to see teams like that get into European competitions. So it does kind of put me in a tough spot. We are going up against a team that is fighting for their lives on Sunday at their home. That is going to be very, very interesting. So let's talk about relegation for a second. So we have 3 teams left competing for 1 spot. Currently, the one team that has their easiest path to staying in the Premier League next year is Everton. They're above the drop zone right now. If they win, they're staying up no matter the results anywhere else. It's going to be interesting because Everton are one of the 5 teams, I believe it is, that have never been relegated from the Premier League, and the Premier League was established in 1991-92 season. So that's kind of a streak they need to keep alive. I don't think they've been relegated since the 50s, so it kind of shows the staying power they have in the first division. So it would be a very weird scenario without them in the top flight next year. I think if they go down, they are in some big trouble. Financially, it could get very, very rough very, very fast for Everton if they go down. The other two teams fighting are Leicester City and Leeds United. As I mentioned, Leeds are playing Tottenham on Sunday morning. That is, I'm not going to say a guaranteed 3 points for them, but it's close because Tottenham have not looked good at all since March, February. I honestly don't even know. They haven't looked good. I can't even remember. Nothing's guaranteed, but it's guaranteed that Leeds are going to at least score 2 goals probably because our defense is absolutely atrocious. Leicester City, this is just such a sad story. Obviously, staving off relegation 2015, 5,000 to 1 odds to win the title for the 15-16 season. They win the title. They're obviously in the Champions League the next year. They follow that up with a few Europa League appearances. They win the FA Cup in 2021, and now here they are, most likely going down. Just an absolute downfall for a club. It's such a shame to see. Like I said, it was 6 years ago that they were winning the league, and now they're going to most likely be in the championship next year. Both Leicester and Leeds need wins and things to go the other way in the Everton game. They need, for either team to stay up, they need to win and they need Everton to draw or lose. I think it's as simple as saying that. Leeds need even more to happen because Leicester would still be above them. And it's just, my official prediction is the table will stay like it is right now. It's going to be Everton staying up and Leicester and Leeds will go down. And like I said, it's just such a shame with Leicester because they were the blueprint of what a club should do. And now they've become the blueprint of what a club shouldn't do. And like I said, just it's such a shame for a club that just came out of nowhere and now are somewhat falling back into nowhere. Hopefully they go right back up, but it might be a rough run next year. Bold prediction, if this table stays the same, and it is Leicester and Leeds that go down, in addition to Southampton, who were relegated weeks ago, I don't think any of the three go up next year. The best chance, I believe, is Leicester. I think they can bounce back. The other two, I don't think they can. If Everton go down and Leicester stay up, I can guarantee you none of those three come back up immediately. Everton's going to be in real big trouble if they go down. There is a good chance. There's a good chance they pull a Sunderland and do a double relegation. I think that's how tough the times are going to be. And with their new stadium opening up the year after next year and the financial tightness they're going to be under because of that, that's going to put the club in a really tough spot. And I do worry about Everton if that does happen. That's why they need to stay up this year. They got new owners coming in the summer, and hopefully they can somewhat reinvest and get this club at least back to mid-table next year. But I just don't see really any of these teams coming back up that quickly. Like I said, the only one I really think could be Leicester. but I think the competition in the championship has just gotten like so much more closer the past 5 years. I mean, this year we saw it. None of the three came up this year, I don't believe. Burnley obviously did come straight back up, but the other two did not. The other two didn't even make the playoffs, which, speaking of the playoffs, tomorrow morning, technically 11:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the richest game in football, one of my favorite games to watch every year, the championship playoff final. It is Luton Town versus Coventry City. I can't wait to watch this game. I'll be 100% honest. This is the soccer game I'm looking forward to this weekend. The winner is going up to the Premier League next year. The loser is not. They call it the richest game in football because winning the game, you're getting like $200 million roughly in television money because you're going up to the Premier League. The loser is getting the ticket gate receipts from the game, basically, and that's about it. I am so excited for this game, like I said. Luton Town haven't been in the top division since the last year of the first division before it became the Premier League, so that would have been the 90-91 season. Coventry City had a few stops in the Premier League. And their last time was 01-02, I believe. Both clubs have been at their lowest of lows in their history. Luton Town were in the 5th tier 10 years ago. Coventry City were in the 4th tier. I believe it was 5 years ago. Both teams went up from the 4th tier to the 3rd tier at the same time. It shows what promotion and relegation does. I mean, you got these two clubs, Luton Town playing a 10,000 seat stadium, Coventry City playing like a 30,000 seat stadium. These two teams could be like polar opposites, basically. It's hard to believe that both these teams have gotten here. Luton Town a little bit less because they did have a decent season last year. Coventry City were not good last year. At the beginning of this season, they looked like they could be potential relegation candidates. And now here we are. Both are in the playoff final. 90 minutes plus extra time and possibly penalties if they're tied. This is going to be one fun game to watch, I can tell you that. It's a shame it's on ESPN Plus. Like, this feels like a game that should be on like ESPN2 at least. Like, just get the people to know that it's happening and they'll get to witness some great football. I do see the comment from the Rare Valid Point, that is my friend's side, that Luton is laying the blueprint for Wrexham. That honestly might be very true. I don't 100% believe it because Luton they're more of a Moneyball type team, whereas Wrexham, they obviously have the Hollywood owners, so they have a little bit more money to fluctuate around with compared to Luton. Like, I think Luton only spent like £2 million in the transfer window this year. But overall, this game's going to extra time. I can tell you that. So if you do any betting, you sometimes see team to go through or team to win the title. We'll get to that. But usually they have like a score after 90 minutes and you can take the three-way money line. Tie is the way to go, I think. This game has draw written all over it. The two games they've played this year, they both were 1-1 draws, I believe. This game honestly has 1-1 draw written all over it once again. Are we going to penalties? I think that's the biggest question. I think we might be going to penalties. And then it's just a coin flip of who's going to win. Because basically you need a goalie that's going to make one save for you, basically. And you need penalty takers that aren't going to sky it above the bar. That is going to be one fun ride tomorrow, going into the afternoon because it's 11:45 Eastern. It's going to be one fun early afternoon game for tomorrow. Like I said, that's the game I'm really excited for this weekend. Quick kick around the pitch. Obviously, we've been talking soccer, but just to get some news out. Something I talked about on Wednesday was Arne Slot was he was the front runner for the Tottenham job, and then I woke up Thursday morning and he signed a new contract with Feyenoord and isn't going to Tottenham. Yeah. This is something. I can tell you that. It is something. I'm not surprised. I said it on Wednesday. I'm like, he's not going to end up taking the job because there's going to be like a $5 million difference in like buying out his contract or something like that. And Daniel Levy's going to walk away and be like, nope, that's too expensive. We can't do that. And that's almost what happened. I don't know where Tottenham go from here, to be honest. There's rumors. I don't even want to say his name because I don't know how to say it. The Australian manager at Celtic right now, he's apparently top of the list right now. There's not a lot of people happy with it. It seems like the general unhappiness in the fan base is very similar to the general unhappiness with the Pistons fan base and very potentially hiring Kevin Ollie. I don't think Kevin Ollie and this Australian manager are on those same levels. I mean, like I said, I don't want to butcher this dude's name, but like the dude has won wherever he's gone. It's just he hasn't gone anywhere that's been good. He spent like 20 years of his career in Australia. The Celtic job was his first job in Europe. He won the title with Celtic this year, but I feel like my grandma could win the title with Celtic. I mean, that's always the two-horse league. It's going to be Celtic or Rangers that win that league. I don't know, man. Like, I really thought Nagelsmann was the guy, and now he's not because he wants to hire his own sporting director, which I completely get. I don't know. This club is so dumb at so many points. Like, I'm ready for final whistle on Sunday. I don't have to watch this team until August. And even then, it's going to be, oh my. Like, obviously, you hope that you have a manager in place, like, as soon as you start the off season, which is Sunday night. That's not going to happen. Antonio Conte's been out of a job since late March, and we don't know where we're going. That's the easiest way to put it. We have absolutely no idea where we're going right now. It's so annoying. This club gets on my last nerves most of the time. I mean, there's so many ways that I could go with this. I think the way that we're approaching it right now isn't even the right way. It seems like we're going manager, then sporting director, and then deciding where we go with players and stuff. You got to go sporting director first. Preferably one that isn't under investigation in other countries for fraud and could potentially like get banned from football like our last one did. Let's try to avoid that. So I think you go sporting director first. The sporting director hires a manager that he wants and not a manager that he gets stuck with because a man that just knows business hired this guy. You go that next, and then you decide on players because then you have a manager and a sporting director that are on the same page that know what they want. But no, it seems like we're just, we'll do whatever we want. Oh my, I don't know. If we're going this way, why not hire Nagelsmann? Let him hire his own sporting director, and then they're on the same page, and we can move on with life here. We're not doing that right now. I'm sure Nagelsmann wants a lot of money, and we'll probably not want to shell it out. We're going to end up with Ryan Mason as our manager. He's going to become full-time manager just because he's the cheap option. He's going to end up having to get fired in November or December when we're playing absolutely terrible football and the fans are calling for his head. And then we'll be in this position all over again. The last season we had a full season with a manager was 2018-19. That was 4 years ago. We're approaching year 5. I mean, come on. What are we doing right now? This is just getting absolutely insane I'm tired of it. We go through managers just like they're free, basically. Like, we brought in some of the best that there were, and like, even we broke them. We broke them. We broke Jose Mourinho, who's now at Roma and will be playing for a second consecutive European trophy next week. We brought in Antonio Conte, who's in Italy somewhere right now. I'm sure he's going to take a job this summer. Nuno is in Saudi Arabia. I mean, he wasn't a world-class manager, but he's in Saudi Arabia right now. He's beat Ronaldo for like 2 trophies. So, you know what? Good for him. And Ryan Mason has been an interim. He was thrown in a position after Mourinho got fired where he's coaching a cup final as his second game. And then you bring him back now after you fire the interim manager, because the interim manager was basically just Conte in disguise when it should have really been Mason since March. The leadership here, it's just so bad. And I'm ready for it to be over. It's just, oh my gosh, I'm just so ready for it to be over. I want somebody to believe in it again. Like, this year, I should never get my hopes up, but I did this year. I'm like, this could finally be a year we do something, and it wasn't. And it gets so tiring after a while. I'm just tired of it. And given that I'm tired of it, I think it's time to end today. We almost went an hour. I feel like I just went an hour just ranting about Tottenham, but I didn't. So overall, it's going to be a great sports weekend. Don't focus on Tottenham. That's going to be my main priority this weekend. I probably won't even watch the game on Sunday, to be honest. This is also the weekend. If you have 2 or 3 televisions available, you need to use all of them. That's probably what I'll be doing. So Tottenham will be on one of the TVs, I guess. But this is going to be a great weekend for sports. We'll be back on Monday to recap all of it. Stay safe, everybody. It's obviously a holiday weekend here in the U.S., so stay safe. Enjoy your weekend. And we'll be back on Monday. Hopefully we have a Stanley Cup Final to preview. Hopefully we have an NBA Finals to preview. Actually, if it does go to Game 7, I believe this would be during Game 7. So we would not have an NBA Finals to preview if that were the case. So back on Monday, we'll recap it all. Maybe Tottenham will do something. Who knows? So have a good night. Have a good weekend. Thanks for watching.